Hey guys, it's Robert, and in this video I'm going to show you how we installed Starlink internet here at our cabin in the woods. This was a tough job. We are in the middle of a thick forest, lots of tree cover, which normally makes Starlink completely impossible to use. We also went to a whole lot of extra trouble and time to make this installation really top-notch and Cadillac, and I'll show you all the details of what we did and how we did it in this video. So the first step has been to create this clearing here. I've got the tractor and wood chipper here. We've been using this to turn old dead balsams, dead and dying balsams in this clearing here into wood chips. I have this step ladder here because I was testing with the Starlink app, holding my phone up on a pole earlier and testing if we had enough clear blue sky, because that's really the name of the game with Starlink. You need a clear shot to the sky. Tree cover or other obstacles mess up your connections. The next steps are going to involve setting up a makeshift tower right about there for our dish so it can have a clear shot up here to the sky, and connecting the cable from that dish, the long Starlink cable, all the way from our tower where it's going to be over here up to the house over there. According to my calculations, that's the spot down there. Got this big drill bit with an extension of my drill. This is shot here. So I didn't quite get through drilling through the floor from the top side. I realize I'm going to have to go in again from underneath and finish the hole from the other side, from the underside. So I figure since I'm going back under there, going to all that trouble, I might as well put the flexible conduit I bought to protect the Starlink cable under there with me. So I just got this stuff on Amazon, 3 rolls, 50 feet long each, and it's flexible as you can see, but it's very tough. It's resistant to crushing, like I can't even squeeze that down with my hands. And I'm gonna just splice these 3 lengths together. The run of cable out to where the tower is gonna go is about 130 feet, give or take, between the house and the tower. So I have 150 feet, should be plenty. There it is. Come on, you. Come on. Okay, guys, I'm covered in sawdust and I can't see very well because of that, but I finally got through the subfloor. I don't know if you can see too well through there, but that's the inside of the house through there. So now all that remains is for me to take this conduit I dragged under the building and shove it up through that hole so that the Starlink cable is protected all the way from the dish to into the house. I tie wrapped the conduit to this rigid electrical conduit that was already going through this spot in the floor, just to make sure that it doesn't pull out. Now you might wonder, why go through all this trouble to string this conduit? Not to mention the expense of buying 3 50-foot rolls of this stuff. Well, the reason is that I've heard enough stories of people laying out this cable just bare into their house, no conduit to protect it, where the cable's gotten cut or damaged or chewed on by animals. And I do not want to have to do this more than once. Just pulling that conduit out from where I stuck it up through the floor, stretching it out here, and laying it out one of 3 lengths, as I said, that I'll have to lay out up to that bluff there behind the tractor. The idea is just to try to lay it out flat and straight and ensure that there's no twist in it. So after removing a lot of dead trees and making a clearing here, I just finished testing with the Starlink app for the final time, and I've determined the exact spot where our makeshift tower is going to go. I'll be showing you more about that tower later. So now I've got to dig away the little bit of soil and detritus here, get down to solid bedrock, and then drill a big hole in that bedrock to mount that tower. Luckily for me, there really isn't much soil here before you hit the bedrock bluff that we're on. That's bedrock right there. So the time's come to string this extra long 150-foot Starlink cable through the conduit that I've put through the floor and over in that direction to where the dish is going to go. The router, the Starlink router, is right here on the windowsill ready to go. So First thing is to determine which end to string through. I've strung this fish tape, stiff steel fish tape here, through the first run of 50-foot conduit and attached it inside the house with electrical tape to the Starlink cable. So now I'm basically pulling the cable through a little bit at a time. So I pull, and then I reel in the fish tape. Yes, there it is. There's the cable. I got it through the first run. See that? So I just pushed the fish tape through from the other end of this second piece of conduit, and this is the fish tape here. I've got this rubber screw clamp coupler on here on one of the pipes so I can eventually join the two like this. So now I'm just going to repeat the process of pulling the fish tape and the cable through this cable. Sorry, through this conduit. Well, just got all the Starlink cable pulled through the second run of conduit all the way from the house here, and I got all the excess here on the ground. We're almost there. This ladder is where our makeshift tower is going to go, so we'll have another part length of conduit, but I think the worst is behind us as far as stringing this cable. I'm going to use this ladder as a temporary testing tower. I got my dish here. I'm going to climb up the ladder here and try to temporarily secure the dish onto the top of the ladder. I've got the ladder braced with these pieces of lumber and some clamps so it doesn't fall off to the side. And I'm just going to see if this ladder gives me enough height above the tree line here to get a clear shot of the sky that this dish needs to work. I kind of think I'm going to have to go higher. That's why I bought a full 21-foot length, a 2-inch black iron pipe for my tower, but it would be nice if I didn't have to go that high. Well, that'll have to do for a makeshift setup. Now, the moment of truth. I'm going to go inside and plug in the router and see how bad my connection is, being only about 10 feet off the ground, surrounded by trees. Well, taking a little break. Hands are starting to get shaky. You can see I'm making some progress here, and I got a nice little plug of stone, a few inches tall, but there's a lot more drilling to do. All right, so I think I'm most of the way down now as far as depth that I need in this hole. I'm aiming for at least 12 inches because I think that's what a 2-inch pipe of the height I'm using, about 13 feet above ground. I think it'll need at least 12 inches in the ground, in the rock rather, to be solid. So using these coring bits, of course it leaves a cylinder of rock in the hole, which you have to remove. So best thing I found for that is, first of all, a regular pry bar. You just stick that in the hole there and find the edge of your rock and try to pry it loose. There we go. Break off that cylinder inside the hole, and usually you can't get your hand in there, not when it's as small diameter as this anyway, to grab the cylinder. So I've been using these large salad tongs, believe it or not. My wife won't be too happy, but ouch. Try to grab the edges of the cylinder, and there it is. You can see it's almost 15 inches deep there. So more than deep enough for what I'm doing. All right, so this here is my 21-foot length of 2-inch diameter black iron pipe. Tried to get galvanized, it wasn't available. Galvanized would be better if you're trying this yourself. I've determined that I only need 13 feet above ground, so about 14 feet total length to go down into my hole in the bedrock. So I'm just gonna cut this to length here with the hacksaw. Oh man, success. I really should have used the power hacksaw. Bit of sanding now with a 80 grit disc in the random orbit. Not to get it straight back to bare metal, but just clear off the flaky factory paint here and get off the worst of the rust. Sanding's done now. You can see I've stripped it partially back to bare metal, but not completely. Just a light sanding, as I said, to remove all the loose stuff, all the factory paint. And I'm going to use this zinc-rich primer now, Rust-Oleum spray-on zinc-rich primer to coat and protect it. So it's the next day now, and I've just driven the pipe down to my place from where I was working on it. Primer's mostly dry now, and I added these 4 bolts to the end here, going through the pipe walls in different directions, 90 degrees to each other, so that the pipe has something to grab onto in the concrete when the concrete's set. Okay, so now it's just time to plumb this pipe. Well, not plumb it quite yet, actually. Put the Portland mortar in it first, and then plumb it temporarily with some wooden props. So I'll just scoop some of this in here. Not going to be very neat at first. Move it around a little bit here. Massage some of that stuff down. Make some room for some fresh stuff. And yep, sure enough, still a lot of mortar to add here. So I got these long scraps of lumber here and these quick grip clamps. I'm hoping 3 of these clamped as high up as I can reach on the pipe will be enough to keep it plumb. So the idea now is to put the level on it from different sides and adjust the props slightly as needed to make sure that the pipe is as plumb as it can be while this stuff sets. So it's been a few days now since I set the pipe in the bedrock. I wanted to give it as long as possible to harden and solidify. And you can see here the cement, the mortar rather, is nice and hard. I think it is strong enough now that I can install the dish, that I can finally move the dish from this ladder onto the tower. And to do that, I've got this adapter here that I got from Amazon. It's supposed to specifically mesh with a Starlink dish on the top. And here's some bolts that came with it. And then the bottom is supposed to go over a 2-inch pipe. Definitely looks and feels pretty heavy duty. Now I just gotta unplug it here and get the cable out from through the ladder here. And now the moment of truth. Does this adapter I paid a lot of money for on Amazon fit? It does. All right. When this is done, I'll install the dish itself, which should just click right into the top of this. Just got the 3rd and final length of flexible conduit cut here. So just kind of direct it in and try not to let the cable get caught up, and just try to help it go in smoothly. Okay, it's through. Now I just gotta pull. Yeah. All right, so Got the cable strung through the last conduit. Just going to connect the last conduit run to the second last conduit run. And of course, these are always a little bit tricky to get in.
Because this one probably extends too, right?
Yeah, it has to be butting up against the other one, which is about halfway across. So when I feel soft rubber between, I know it's not all the way there yet. It's close though. The couplers and the conduit I found on Amazon. The hub of all things hardware when you can't get it locally. So the flexible conduit came with several of these fittings here. That's what I'm going to use to bring the conduit into this box and then come out of the box again through the bottom, through this smaller hole with just the bare cable. The idea here is to not leave the open end of the conduit pointing upwards so it'll collect rain, and then that rain will freeze into ice inside the conduit in winter. That's why I'm going to all this trouble with the box. Got the conduit mostly zip tied up here now and the box loosely on the end. Poke the cable through this hole here and then it'll go up to the dish. So I'm going to go ahead and get this dish up there and test this out. Moment of truth, or close to it anyway. Here we go. There we go. It's in. Well guys, it's nighttime now, and I'm going to climb up that ladder and see if I can put the finishing touches on our Starlink installation. And the last finishing touch to do is securing that electrical box there, that plastic box that I drilled the holes in. So I'm going to try this idea I had using these rare earth magnets here. So you'll notice I did have some extra cable here coming through the conduit, so I tucked that into the box to get it out of the way. Just left enough here to come through the bottom and feed up into the dish. So it's a really neat installation if I can pull this off, if this magnet idea works. So I'll just try to put one back here, the back of the box. Yeah, that's not really working. It's not as strong as I thought going through the box. All right, so plan B. I'm going to put one of the 3 rare earth magnets I've got directly on the 2-inch metal pipe, and then put the box over that magnet and put a second magnet inside the box. Oh, hang on, gotta put it the right way around. There. That's actually holding it. Yeah, that's decently solid on there. See, the 2 magnets, one on either side, that effectively doubles the magnetic force. Just added a second magnet here in the box. So there's 3 magnets now in total, and now that's rock solid. Like the whole tower, the whole pipe is rocking as I wiggle this thing, so that's not going anywhere. And I didn't have to put any holes in the box to do it. Coil up my extra cable here. It's nice and out of the way. It's not too kinked up. Shut the box here. It's got a weather stripping around the lid, so there it is, all done. That is a thing of beauty, and so hard won, but well worth it. Well guys, there you have it. How we went about setting up Starlink here at our cabin in the woods, despite some pretty serious obstacles, and how we kind of went above and beyond in our usual fashion to get the job done right. Hopefully you found this video useful and interesting. If you did, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Cabin in the Woods for lots more interesting and frustrating projects and adventures here in the forests of Ontario, Canada. Thanks for watching.